Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. And today we have the Stanford prison experiment, unlocking the truth. Before I forget his name, again, this is like my third time starting this off, and having to cancel it immediately because I forgot the name the name of the guy who's running the experiment. In 1971, Dr. Philip Zimbardo. Yeah, Zimbardo. This is a 2024 series, though. It's 3 episodes. Each of them are about 45 minutes long or so each, right? Yeah, 46 minutes long each. And it's called the Stanford Prison Experiment: Unlocking the Truth. That's important because if you looked it up elsewhere, there are other Stanford Prison Experiment documentaries. This one's by National Geographic. Like I said, 3 episodes, 46 minutes long each, and it kind of is a different take, not just at a distance, not just taking it from Zimbardo's point of view or the sensationalism that surrounded it, the controversy that surrounded it, and the swirling of news that was created from it. I believe this is the first time where they go into depth. I don't know. I haven't seen the other documentaries, but from the sound of these things, it's a lot of these guys that were involved in this experiment were never interviewed before, or at least not at length. It's more than 50 years later. This is a story of a bunch of college guys in the 70s, 71. It's near Stanford, who were just looking for work. They were out of school. They were basically they were heading back to college eventually in the fall. But in the Stanford area, they decided I needed a job, and this one paid $15 an hour, I think, which is a lot in 1971. And they're like, hey, yeah, this is great, but it's only for like 2 weeks worth of work. So why not give it a shot? And it was really about being part of a social experiment where these guys were brought in and randomly selected to be guards or prisoners in this fake prison. And when the people who were randomly selected as prisoners, they were picked up at their homes by a actual, well, I don't know if it was a real policeman, but in a police car, handcuffed, patted down, handcuffed, and thrown in a car. Imagine the neighbors going, what's going on with Kevin? Huh? Why is he being arrested? Well, and half the time they were all like, oh yeah, my neighbors are going to see this. I want to tell them this is just for an experiment. I haven't broken any laws. But yeah, now in this case, they kind of went in and kind of gave them the real experience. It tried to be as realistic as they could without overstepping any boundaries. Again, it's meant to be all just play acting, and Zimbardo was overseeing the entire thing from a closed-off room separate from the space in which this prison was mocked up, and where the guards, I suppose, they got some level of training to a certain degree, at least training in what their role would be, without telling them what to do. They just knew they could not do some, really abusive things. They could not be physically abusive. They could not be, as you imagine, SA. They couldn't do anything that was, it's going on in prisons today by the guards in some cases. So these men were thrown into an area, and some were walked in as prisoners. They were stripped down. They were put in basically sackcloth with numbers. They, instead of shaving their heads as it often has done in prisons, they were all required to put on these kind of head coverings that held their hair down, and they were wearing nothing else other than this basically scratchy sackcloth kind of looking thing, this tunic in a sense that barely went halfway down their thighs. So yeah, one thing to note, it was a bunch of white guys on both sides. There's no testing of racial tension or anything else, because certainly plenty of this stuff was part of the the culture at the time, especially coming out of the 60s, 70s. The Vietnam War was still on, and of course political strife and yeah, lots of stuff was getting to a boiling point around that time. And yeah, basically this is basically meant to show how the people who aren't necessarily evil become evil. It seems like a loaded premise in the sense that, at least in the way it's said, it's was going to assume that if a person was playing the part of a criminal, would they feel the freedom to act criminal-like? And if you were a guard, would that power go to your head to be abusive, in a sense, to lord that power over others in order to make the entire thing at least interesting? Because honestly, these guys could have came in there and just stood there in front of the doors as a guard and, hey, quiet in there. For 2 weeks, they could have done that. They could have, brought their food in and just sort of did whatever they were supposed to do, but they didn't. They made the prisoners, get out and do arbitrary things, sing songs, do push-ups, do random things that sort of, I don't know, kept them from being bored. And sometimes the criminals in prison would kind of act out because they were all part of the sort of a rebellious era when people were not about to keep them down. So these guys decided to have fun with it as the criminals and kind of rebelled against the guards, sort of mess with them every so often, realizing that they couldn't truly be abused in some ways. They thought. And so, yeah, while it didn't, as far as I know, I only watched the first episode, while it didn't get as far as it could have gotten or is in prisons today, it certainly went further than anybody ever expected. Some of these guys kind of lost it, some of these prisoners. Some of them were stripped down to nothing and chained together as punishment for mouthing off. And again, it was justified in the guards' minds, including one they all nicknamed John Wayne, who, even though John Wayne, they made the point that John Wayne never played a bad guy, but he was also, in real life, a big supporter of the Vietnam War. So, the two sides of John Wayne was exemplified in this one guard who really leaned into it. And the crazy thing is, this juxtaposes real actual footage, because the entire thing was filmed in order for Zimbardo to, televise parts of this, and of course make fame and money out of his experiment, his world-changing experiment. And at the same time, they cut to interviews with the men today, not just the prisoners, but the ones who played guards as well. Some of them, Dave Eshelman, he played Eshelman. He played a guard, and he totally kind of justifies him in his role at that time, because again, it was all play acting, and it was meant to be an experiment. But at the same time, it kind of brought out the nature of some people, to a certain degree. Maybe the whole time he thought it was just a good old time. But when some people start losing their minds after being abused a little bit, honestly, some of the stuff that went down, as you would see if you watched this, wasn't cool. It doesn't go to that extreme, but yeah, mentally, not physically so much, despite at some point making them take positions of certain things. I know I have to be vague in this, one, because of YouTube, and two, because it's, yeah, if you can stomach this kind of thing, if you want to see what this is all about, yeah, you can watch this. It doesn't show anything graphic. Even when the guys are pretty much in the buff, it's all blurred out, so you're not going to see anything you don't want to see, but it's still a little rattling at times. And you get to see these guys in their, now in their probably 70s, and how they are still, some of them are still shaken by it. Some are just like, hey, I never want to go inside ever again. I moved to Mexico, and I'm on the shore, and I do, Buddhist yoga and things like that. I don't want to ever go inside again. I try to be outside as much as possible, is one guy's take away from all this. And he has been like that for his entire life. So, and you get to see just a number of different things. And I think Zimbardo is still alive, and he shows up in the third episode. I don't know. I don't think he was much older, but maybe he was. He was definitely older. Oh, and there's also another gentleman that comes along. I'm not going to say it. His name's French, and I'm going to screw it up. Thibault Letexier. I am hoping I didn't butcher that. He shows up at the end of the first episode, and he's introduced as the man who was sort of tasked with, in modern times, sort of debunking and tearing apart this entire premise of this experiment. So that it's a new take. It's not just a news report type of thing that you might get with who just go through the different phases of this whole thing. Because this experiment didn't go as planned by its end, but it certainly went on to give. Zim, whatever his name. It certainly went on to give him quite a bit of notoriety. Interviewed by Phil Donahue and all sorts of news talking heads around the world. So, yeah, it definitely did what it needed to do. So, all right, check this out. If it's a real life thing, it really happened. So check it out if you get a chance. It's not my thing. I don't think I'm gonna continue on it. For me, I'd almost want a more clinical approach to it. This is definitely deeper on the emotional aspect and how it affected the men that were in this, or how it didn't in some cases. So, but yeah. You know what? If didn't have anything to do, I think I might finish this series off. But we'll see. We'll see if I ever do that. We're now at the end of the quarter. This is the last episode of this quarter, and tomorrow is the first of maybe the last full quarter of my series. I don't know if this whole series will go all the way to March. It very nearly did not get this far. If I hadn't already made most of these episodes before the whole boycott thing, and the fact that I just, even if I canceled it, I wouldn't get all my money back because my subscription would go all the way till middle of next year. So I'm going to continue because I'm stubborn that way, in the sense that I like to finish what I start. And I've never done anything like this far. I didn't expect to go almost 2,200 episodes now, and then I'll probably pass at least 2,300 at this point, depending on what Disney Plus puts in on the network, on the streaming service in the next few months. So this next number that I'm going to pick is from a brand new list. I've wiped away the old stuff. I've added the new stuff. There's 125 things remaining. I've even added in, just to buffer it out, 6 shark episodes, which was banned. They banned shark episodes for years now, and I would only do like one episode of just all shark episodes, and just where I watched a little bit of each. No, we're getting full on shark episodes again, because I don't think I'm going to make it all the way to the next shark season kind of thing. Here we go. the first episode of October, and possibly the final 55. And by the way, when I say that it's out of 125, it's actually out of 122, maybe, because a few of these are already picked for certain holiday seasons that I like for Halloween. Like, we're going to see, I'm spoiling it right now, right around leading up to Halloween, we're going to be watching Zombies 4. Makes sense. I have a bunch of Halloween-themed, horror-themed episodes coming up in right before Halloween. So, okay, 55. I've been waiting to get to this for a while to finish out this set of animated mini-movies, in a sense. This is from Marvel, and it features a character that was never really meant to be a big deal. It was just meant to be a one-off kind of alternate reality Spider-Man. But in this case, it was Spider-Gwen. Gwen got bitten by the spider, and now she's the biggest thing ever. She's in the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse films, and, well, this is a story about her and a bunch of her friends in Marvel Rising, chasing ghosts. She's Ghost Spider. So, yeah, Chasing Ghosts is our first. Marvel Rising Chasing Ghosts is our first episode of October. That's what we're watching next in the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. I'll see you back here tomorrow with that.